A dark screen, a faint whisper drifts in, like a secret carried by the wind. Every story hides a choice. Every choice hides a price. Here we journey through tales where destiny whispers and decisions carve the fate of men. The whisper grows louder, forming into an echo that fades into silence. A soft glow emerges, a book slowly opening, its pages glowing with golden light. Welcome to Beyond the Pages, where stories breathe and truths unfold. The glow bursts into the first scene of Mystic Debt.
Chapter 1. The Whisper of Wealth. Okeora's Night Voices. The night in Okeora was alive with murmurs, though the village itself was quiet. Chike lay restless on his bamboo mat, the kerosene lamp sputtering, its weak flame fighting against the darkness that clung to the mud walls. His mother's breathing was heavy with exhaustion, each sigh echoing the years of hardship she had carried alone. The boy's stomach growled, an empty drum in the silence, and with every pang came thoughts he could not silence. Outside, laughter rang faintly, men's laughter, rich and full, like a drumbeat calling him. He had seen them earlier in the market, dressed in polished clothes that glittered like coins under the sun. They spoke with authority, tossing money to boys barely older than him. One of those boys had shouted with joy, waving a few bills that could feed a family for a week. Chike remembered the look on his face, pure freedom. Now lying on his mat, Chike's heart raced. His mother had prayed that very evening, asking God to shield him from paths that glitter but end in darkness. But her words seemed to wrestle against another voice, one softer, sly, and strangely familiar. Why struggle? Why suffer? Step forward. Destiny awaits. The whisper felt both inside his head and outside his window. He sat up, clutching his knees, staring at the flickering lamp as though it could answer him. Hunger pulled one way, faith the other. His fists clenched, as if holding two invisible ropes, each dragging him in opposite directions. At last, he rose, his bare feet brushing against the cool mud floor. He crept to the door and peeked into the night. The men were shadows at the far end of the street, their laughter now softer but still magnetic. One turned, and even from that distance, Chike felt the weight of his gaze. The man's smile curved slowly, knowingly, like a hook piercing water. Chike froze. His pulse throbbed in his ears. Step forward, the voice urged again. Step forward. And as the night swallowed Okeora, Chike's hand touched the wooden doorframe. Would he open it? Across the ocean. In a small, dimly lit dorm room in Atlanta, Marcus sat staring at his laptop screen. The numbers and codes flickered back at him, tempting him like fireflies. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't even reckless. He was just desperate. His scholarship had run thin, his part-time job barely covered books, and his mother back in Chicago called daily, whispering about overdue bills. He wanted to help her. He wanted to breathe without debt choking every decision. Then came the message. A friend from class had shown him how easy it was. Just a few clicks, a stolen identity, and a bank account drained. "It's not stealing," his friend said with a grin. "It's the system paying us back. Don't you want out?" Marcus laughed nervously at the time, but now, alone, the words scratched at him. His cursor hovered over a file. Inside it lay tools that could flip his life upside down. His mind screamed no, but another voice, the same one Cheek had heard across the ocean, whispered, "Why struggle? Why suffer? Step forward. Destiny awaits." The clock on his wall ticked louder, as though it wanted to betray his thoughts. His phone buzzed, his mother's name on the screen. He didn't answer. He couldn't, not while temptation pressed so close. He glanced again at the code, the open door to quick wealth. His chest tightened, his palms sweating as if he had already crossed the line. Outside, the campus buzzed with laughter and plans for the weekend. But inside this room, time seemed frozen. He closed his eyes, whispering a prayer he wasn't sure anyone heard. He dragged the cursor closer to the file, every inch heavier than the last. His breath slowed, his shoulders tense, as though the whole world leaned in to watch his choice. And then, his finger brushed the mouse. Click.
In the corridors of power, the grand hall of Brussels shimmered under golden chandeliers, but behind the polished marble and velvet chairs, a darker game unfolded. Minister Karl Voss adjusted his tie, his reflection cold and sharp in the glass doors. Tonight, he was expected to make a choice that could secure his career or destroy it. The proposal lay in front of him, a contract worth billions, tied to a corporation infamous for exploiting workers. Buried deep in the documents was a bribe, subtle, neatly packaged, but undeniable. It wasn't just money, it was power, influence, security for his family's generations to come. Karl's stomach churned. He had built his career on speeches of justice and integrity. He had sworn to be different. But now the whisper circled his mind like a serpent. Why struggle? Why suffer? Step forward. Destiny awaits. He looked around the room. Other ministers laughed, sipping wine, their smiles already bought and paid for. Across the table, a hand slid toward him, subtle but certain, pushing the contract closer. The ink seemed alive, shimmering as if written with more than ink, like it pulsed with unseen consequence. Karl hesitated. His pen hovered above the page, trembling. He saw his daughter's face flash before him, her tuition bills, her dreams. He saw his wife, tired of watching him fight losing battles. The voice pressed harder. Just a signature, just one choice. The world is built on men who dared to take. The hall's laughter grew distant, like echoes underwater. Karl swallowed, his lips dry, his fingers closed around the pen. He told himself it was only business. And then he lowered the tip to the paper. The business deal. In the bustling streets of Shanghai, neon lights painted the night with promises of success. Li Wei walked quickly, his leather briefcase heavy, not with papers, but with decisions. He was respected, even admired, yet beneath the surface, cracks spread through his world. His company was bleeding money, and tonight salvation waited in the form of a single deal. The investor had made it clear millions would flow into Li Wei's accounts if he agreed to look the other way on certain details. Illegal shipments, exploited workers, shadows moving in bright daylight. Wei sat in a private room at an upscale restaurant. The table was covered in dishes he barely tasted, his eyes fixed on the envelope across from him. It was thick, heavy with promise. The whisper came, soft, seductive. Why struggle? Why suffer? Step forward. Destiny awaits. He closed his eyes, and for a moment he saw his father, a factory worker who had died with calloused hands and an empty wallet. Wei had sworn never to end like him.
He had sworn his children would never taste hunger. But at what cost? The investor leaned closer, smiling, his gold watch glinting under the chandelier. "You're a smart man, Wei. You know opportunity when it knocks." The envelope was pushed closer. Wei's hand trembled as it brushed the edge of the paper. It felt alive, buzzing like a current. Outside, the city roared with ambition, neon signs shouting promises of wealth and fame. Inside, Wei's heartbeat drowned it all. He gripped the envelope, his mind a storm. Was this salvation or damnation wrapped in silk? And as he slowly drew it toward him, the whisper returned, louder, deeper, unrelenting. "Step forward."
That's the end of this chapter, but the journey isn't over yet. More epic stories are on the way, and you don't want to miss them. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and join our growing community. For those who are watching but not subscribed, don't wait. The next chapter might just be the best one yet. See you soon!